Hello again, and welcome back to Vagante, the little roguelike but not, RPG but not, Spelunky but not game I've been playing a lot of lately. Since last time I found out that it is actually called Vagante. I didn't make up that pronunciation. It's a Spanish word, so I'm still butchering it to bits, but I know it is actually, at least in the ballpark, it means wanderer apparently, so there you go. So since we did the last video, I have found out a bunch more about the game, and unlocked a few things, and in general just feeling a bit more confident about how some of the game systems work. So I thought it would be time to do a proper video and show some more of the first section of the game at least. We're going to take the night through again, because I've been spending some time trying to get to grips with some of the skill trees that some of the characters have. A lot of the skill trees just have passive effects, and often when I play RPGs, especially at first, I just take effects that I don't have to think about because I'm trying to learn the basic controls, and it's too much to learn extra ones. But I have got used to some of the more interesting combat-based abilities. So the knight, for instance, has a sword tree, which I just put our skill point into. And the first level of the sword tree is it lets you attack downwards while falling, and he kind of puts his sword underneath him like this, so you can attack from below, which you can't normally do. So that's cool, and you'll see some other upgrades hopefully if I survive long enough to get more skill points. I decided to... oh, that is unlucky. A trap followed by another trap. I decided to play as the knight because the sword tree is pretty interesting, but also because they're a bit tanky than the other characters, and that means that it allows us to actually survive long enough for me to tell you things about this game, which I also thought was kind of important. But I've been having lots of fun as the rogue, so we'll probably do a video on them later as well. So the difference between the knight and all the other characters is that you start with a sword, and a lot of your abilities are related to a sword, and you don't really have any specialism in ranged combat, which is actually quite a problem in Vagante, because a lot of the time you don't want to be up close and next to people, because that's when they can hurt you. Just like in real life, am I right? Okay, we're going to drop down here and deal with this guy down here instead. As you can probably tell, all of the enemies have their own patterns of movement. So the slimes have this sort of blobby kind of jump that they do every now and again, and the bat-like creatures will always fly down from the ceiling, and once you get the hang of them, they're quite predictable, although once we get to the next world, we probably won't see the next world today, but once you get to it, the creatures there are much less predictable. Okay, we picked up some items. Let's have a look at those items. So, the bomb is a ranged weapon. It's single use, and so far I don't think I've ever hit anything with it, but you can see there it does 99 damage when it explodes. My attacks at the moment do like 2 to 5 damage. 99 is probably one hits any boss, I would imagine, as well. Let's check out this scroll. It's a teleport scroll. Okay, that's good. And this armor. Okay, that's not so good. So this armor has a bunch of penalties to it, and it's cursed, which means we can't take it off, so that's really, really bad. So we're going to want to find a scroll of uncurse, probably before we fight that boss, if we can, although we may not be able to. Now, I don't know if you can see on the left there, but there's a little enemy in an arrow trap, and because there's a wall here, there's a good chance this wall is false, so I'm going to start attacking it, and sure enough, it is indeed. So, that's good, there might be some goodies in there. I have to say, I have been a bit... so, Vagante is in early access, so yeah, let's talk about that. So, a couple of people asked me whether Vagante is worth getting, and I'm always really hesitant to recommend people games. Let's just put on this helm. Okay, that's good. That's a great helm, look at that. It's dexterity, luck, defense, and it's got a flame aura, so you can see the little licks of flame around me now. So I'm always hesitant to recommend people spend money on things because it's quite a big responsibility. I am really enjoying Vagante. I've put a lot of hours into it over the last few days. But it's very, very obviously an early access. Like, things are getting rebalanced a lot. Some things feel a bit broken. The later levels definitely feel very incomplete. So it's clearly not a super finished game, even though it looks like it from these first two areas that you're going to see. Now, before I talk anymore, that little guy down there is this level's boss, so we are going to try and fight him, partly because I can't avoid aggroing him at this point. We should be able to kill him I don't know how bad this Constitution Speeding luck. It's not so bad, but we should be able to kill him. But I might stop talking as much. Right, he should follow us up here. He's got a fairly predictable pattern, but his attacks are quite dangerous. So again, he should follow us up here now. Get some more attacks in. Just dodged it. I shouldn't really be fighting him around here because these spikes are... I will fall on them. And I tried to record a video the other day. I lost a lot of the recording where I fell onto spikes like 3 times in 3 minutes, so that was super bad. But we killed him, we only lost half of our health, which unbelievably is actually quite a good fight. So what was this saying? So, I didn't know whether to recommend this game, because although I'm enjoying it a lot, it's definitely very unfinished. And one of the ways that it's unfinished is the procedural generation seems surprisingly bad, given that they're inspired by Spelunky. It's not so much bad as it is kind of, it needs finishing, because as you can see, these levels are actually quite lovely, and after a while you do get to learn the templates. So this room I'm in now is a template. I've seen this room before. It's got this ladder in this exact same place. There's often an arrow trap there. So it's not so much that, but often I find rooms that are secret and they feel that they definitely, like, you want to reward the player for having reached them, but there's nothing in it, and that does surprise me a little bit when it happens. So I definitely feel like there's a lot of work to be done on the level generator. It also just flat out makes mistakes sometimes. Like, that's not my only problem with the level generator, but we'll mention this when we come across them. Ooh, a claw. I don't think I've ever seen this weapon before. So this is obviously a melee weapon. There's another hero who... Oh, I pressed the ranged attack button by mistake. Anyway, there's another hero who this probably be better on, who we'll see later. I think one of the weaknesses of the knight is that you often find really cool weapons, but it doesn't really benefit you to pick them up because the sword skill tree can only be used with swords. You might think that, or as I did originally, that kind of a lot of them would just apply to any weapon you were holding. Like, attacking down seems very natural with any weapon, but it has to be a sword, so no matter what you find, it obviously you often can't use it anyway, which is a shame. Okay, we're almost done with this level now. There we go. That took forever for some reason, right. Let's see what this guy's got before we leave. Potion of Magic, and Book of Electlance, which is like an electricity spell. So none of those are particularly good. We don't really want the spell book because we're rubbish at casting spells. One of the things the shop is pretty good for is helping you identify potions, because they already know what the potions are, but we don't really care about a Potion of Magic either. So, right, so you can see the first end of level area. This is a little fireplace. We can sit here and regain some of our health. Sometimes during the levels you find fairies in cages, and if you bring them to the end, they'll also increase your health and your max health, a bit like the damsels in Spelunky. And because we defeated the boss on the last level, we can also put a point into something. I'm going to put another point into the sword tree, and what that allows us to do is it allows us to do overhead swings with the sword, which is actually really important, because some weapons already do that, like clubs, but this now gives the knight a lot of versatility. I really like this skill point. I also noticed we have some armour that we haven't put on yet, but we can't put it on because our current piece of armour is cursed, for fuck's sake. So we need a scroll. So we better hope we get lucky on this level. Okay, level 2. So there's 3 levels to each world section. And at least in the first area, there are 3 bosses exactly, so you always have one of each. So we've had the dragon, and we'll have to see what we get next. Let's just check this shop. Okay, those are some pretty good gloves. They let us grab walls, which is quite useful. The rogue can kind of do that anyway, eventually, but that's quite nice for the knight. But we're going to get this. This is this is so stupid. I'm not getting this because it's useful, really. I'm getting this because it's really funny. So it'll probably kill me as well. Oh, I'm an idiot. We can't put it on. Okay, that's fine. We've got to find a scroll of uncurse anyway, so that's okay. Let's put this ring on. Ring of Slaying, +1 damage. That's nice. So where was I? So we've had the zombie dragon. that was the boss on the last level. There are 2 more bosses left. The kind of bandit leader who you saw in the first episode, and another boss who you haven't seen yet. And one of the problems I had with this video was I was like, well, should I spoil like a lot of the secrets that the game has, because they're really good secrets. And often in roguelikes, the secrets are really obscure, and I actually don't like them because they're almost impossible to work out unless you have hours to spend and experiment, which I generally don't. But in Vagante I found I actually really like them because they are very they're quite friendly, they're quite easy to figure out, some of them. So the problem is I am going to tell you some of them. If you think, man, I want to find these things out for myself, you should probably stop watching, but also you should totally buy the game, because it obviously means that you're enjoying yourself, and you would enjoy this game, I think. So, it looks like the secret boss is not going to be on this level, so I'll wait until next level to explain it. I think there might be another fake wall here. Yep. You can see that arrow trap there, and I guarantee I'm going to get hit by it. Ah, good, he tripped that, excellent. And you can actually see this is exactly the same room I was in earlier when I was talking about that procedural generation. And in general, the repetition doesn't actually bother me that much, and I think the reason is... Better slow down there. I think the reason it doesn't bother me is because the rooms and templates are actually quite interesting. Like, these are interesting shapes. They're not all squares, and they're not all kind of just obvious corridors and stuff. And I really like that. So I think I forgive it a bit more than I would normally because of that. We're going to take some potions now. I'm going to read that book as well. We're going to take some potions. So, potion of strength, potion of magic, and potion of speed. So not really what we wanted. Let's put on these gloves. Okay, so some dexterity bonuses and a thing called wall phasing, which I'll explain in a minute. But I'm trying to find out what the potion of regeneration is, which colour it is. It's the most important potion to identify, so you want to do it nice and early. Okay, just dodge that explosion. This is a fairy who we're going to try and get to the exit. This is quite a dangerous area. There's a lot of spikes here, so I don't... Oh, Jesus. Okay, I asked for that. Never mention the spikes. Okay, so we died. That wasn't so great. So what I'll do now is, just for a little bit, I'll show you a little bit of another character that I've unlocked. It's the only unlockable character. You start with the mage, the knight, and the rogue, and this one you can unlock by getting through the first area. So I'm just cycling through costumes for her. She's just question mark at the moment. I think one of her names is Deprived, which is a reference to one of the backgrounds you can have, which I think is also a Dark Souls reference. And she's sort of a variant on the knight. She's a berserker, basically. So, if we look at her skill trees, she's got the basic stats, and then she's got CQC, Berserk, and Animal. And they're all sort of based around the same area, but she starts with this kind of innate Berserk trait, which is really cool, where the more she attacks, if she attacks a lot in a short space of time, she kind of goes into this rage state where she does loads of damage and stuff. So let's see if we can get that going. Okay, so now I'm red, I now move super fast, I think I do more damage. I take less damage, maybe, I want to say. If that's true. I'm talking out my ass. I haven't played as this character as much, but I wanted to show her off because she's still under development, so she's getting rebalanced a lot. She's much riskier because she has to get up close, and getting up close in this game is okay. So I said it was a bad idea for knights, but the truth is that even knights don't get up as close as this does because this is melee range. Mimic? I hardly ever see these guys unless I'm recording. This is ridiculous. All the weapons in this game have reach, so the knight is a melee character, but because he uses a longsword, it's actually got a longer reach than this character's punches, which are extremely close, and a lot of the bosses I don't even know how you would even attack them with this character, so I guess we'll find out. I'll do some more practice runs with her. I imagine this run won't last very long. I'm going to put on that cowl in a minute. Let's put on that cowl now and see what it does. It's cursed! Brilliant! Amazing. Oh dear, okay. So, those worms mean that this is the secret boss level. When I first came across the worms, it was on the second or third level of this world, and I thought they were a bit like the poison snakes in Spelunky, where they only appeared on the later levels. But they're actually not. They're an indicator that this level has the secret boss instead of the dragon or the bandit leader. So the way this works is, I just killed a bunch of them, and then this gigantic worm turned up and wrecked me. And that's actually what triggers them. If you kill too many of the worms, the boss appears. If you don't, the boss will never actually appear, and you can just walk to the exit and ignore it. I will attempt to trigger the boss, even though it is basically suicide on level 1. The boss is very strong, I don't have much health, I have to get up at melee range, so this is probably going to go really badly, but it's okay, because it can't go any worse than that night run. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Done him. Okay, that's one worm. Ooh, there's a shop there. Maybe we'll find something there. Potion of regeneration. That would be cool. Let's take that. Okay. Another chest. Excellent. Put that on. +1 vitality, and it says protected by spirits, which I'm not actually sure what that effect means. All the effects, some of the effects have really obvious meanings, and some of them have extremely vague and secretive meanings, and you kind of just have to work them out over time. But when we come across ones that I know, I will mention them. Okay, so this is an effect that's a bit Risk of Rain-esque, where when you take damage, these spirits come out and damage the person who hurt you, which is cool. I'm going to try and bomb this boss, so I can show you how these things actually work. Ooh. There we go. Okay, so we trigger the boss. The boss is this giant worm thing that you're seeing here. He can go through the walls of the level, which is super unfortunate, and after he does a cycle of firing poison at you, he does this thing where he just charges around the level, and if you touch him at this point, you'll take loads of damage. It's really hard to dodge if he is on top of you. It's just he's a really hard boss, and these poison things he's putting out do a lot of damage. And you can just see it's just so freaking hard to poison him. Like, Jesus Christ. Dude. Okay, so we're going to just sort of berserk him and see what we can do. That's a lot of damage, but it won't be enough. Okay, let's see if we can bomb him. Did. We got it, guys. Never done that before. I'm feeling so good right now. Okay. I've only got 7 health left because, holy shit, this boss, but there you go. That was a cool moment. That was a cool moment that we all shared, isn't that nice? And we got a talisman for it, which will probably be cursed. No! It's actually really good. Look at that. +2 vitality, +1 constitution, and this little fairy that floats around us and beats the shit out of anything that hurts us, which is cool. Let's see if any of these are uncursed scrolls, shall we? They are not. They're all terrible. Oh, please fuck off. Magic mapping, great. That's useful. Okay, well that was terrible. But the important thing is, it's over. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the door here, and I'm going to call time on this episode. Thanks very much for watching. Next time we might take the night again, and I'll try and show you the end of this world, or we might go on the rogue, and I'll show you what fun I've been having rolling myself to death. Alright, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.